If you are going to come in and plant after you cleaned out your bed and made some amendments to it. Hey everyone, it's Keith from Home Right. Today is November 17th and we've got cold weather coming in probably in about another 4 days or so. Here what we have is one of the beds that we had set up in late spring, our pepper beds. You got some jalapenos here, we've got some cayennes, and even down here we've got remnants of ghost peppers. What we want to do today is we want to see about turning this summer bed into our winter bed, of which that winter bed is going to have our onions. First thing we have to do, pick all these peppers, cut these plants down, and then amend the soil.
So we actually harvested a lot more peppers on these plants than I thought. We will actually probably go ahead and make some poppers with these jalapenos and some hot sauces with these cayennes and hot peppers. We also have some of these ghost peppers. We'll save the seeds for this so we can have plants and seeds for selling next year.
Now that we got rid of all the peppers, it's time to get rid of the plants. What we'll do is we'll cut all these plants right at the soil level and we'll leave the roots in there. Leaving these roots in the ground are a great additive for your soil, for the nutrients that it'll end up providing. There's microbes in there that'll use it and just digest it, and it'll just help to improve the soil quality. Now, if your plant is diseased, I just would recommend pulling the entire plant out. Another thing is that I've not done, but I've heard people do, is a lot of people, when it comes to tomato plants, always pull the roots out of their tomato plants. We have yet to do that, and if some people have any ideas or suggestions of what might be better, please let us know. But I've heard that a lot of people like to remove tomato roots and plants completely from their soil for pest problems and issues. We have small trees down here. Now that I got the plants out, I'm going to pull these drip lines out of the way and get rid of some of these leaves and the straw that are just sitting on top. I'll just throw those into a bucket and get ready to chop those up. We'll put a lot of our plants after we cut them like this into our compost pile, but one of the ones that I don't really do are these pepper plants. I have no luck in getting this bottom third to break down at all properly for our compost. Now I might take some of these top stems here that are just smaller and they'll break down, but even these seem to be a lot slower in the breaking down process. So typically none of this is going to end up in my compost pile. It'll just end up off to the side and just it will eventually break down, but just on its own time. So any of you have any suggestions as to how to break down these pepper plants better, please let me know in the comment section below. Now that we've cleaned up the bed a little bit here, we're just going to do a light scratch and maybe go down about 1.5 inches to 2 inches here and move it around. Reason is this soil is getting pretty compacted and we just want to kind of loosen up that top little half. I don't want to go and take a shovel and dig it and turn it all over, but just rather give it a good scratch. So once I'm done scratching all this up and just kind of leveling it back off, I will have to add a little bit more soil mixture just because it's been a few years in this garden bed without getting any more soil to it. As you can see over here, this is typically what the layer would be for us. So I'll show you in the wheelbarrow what it is that we're going to put over the top of this. It's probably going to end up being about 2 inches, 1.5 inches worth of some of our soil. Now whether it's our raised beds or our potted plants, we've been finding a lot of success with this combination, which we'll call it a 50-50. 50% of it is a soil blend that we get from our landscape supply company, which is made up half compost and half of the soil, and there's a little bit of wood chips in there. The other half here is triple shredded hardwood bark mulch. So we'll just mix this together and get it in the bed. All right, so now we've got the soil to the height that we want. if we were going to winterize this bed, the first thing we would probably do on top of this soil is add some of the leaf mold or the leaf mulch, at least probably about 1 inch thick. Another option you can do is just come in here and cover it with leaves and just let them break down naturally. Just don't go too heavy on them or try to break them down a little bit. That'll help with your soil as well. Before you put those leaves on, or even before you put the leaf mold on, spray down that soil and just get it wet. You don't have to turn it into a mud pit, but just get it wet and damp, and then cover it up for the winter with those leaves. This bed's still going to get used for onions this year, so we're not going to be putting it to rest for the winter, but rather using it this winter. The only thing that I'd also tell you is that if you are going to come in and plant after you cleaned out your bed and made some amendments to it, give it a day or two, because that soil is still going to drop down a little bit. So don't come in right away and start putting plants in. Maybe give it 24, 48 hours. Now, once Lori puts those plants in, I will come behind it with some of that leaf mold and some of that leaf mulch just to act as a cover. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions or suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next video.